Welcome to Everything Comes Together. My name is Srinag and I'm an architectural photographer based in Chennai, India. My first guests on the show are Arvind and Varuna from Arvind Varuna Associates. On Everything Comes Together, I'll be speaking with people in the broader photography, architecture, and design communities. Rather than only talking about their work, we will be talking about them, their personal journey, the challenges they overcame, and the most pivotal incidents in their lives that made them who they are today. So now, let's get to it. Varuna is an interior designer and Arvind is an architect. The story about how they met is a prime example of many pieces falling into place just perfectly. In the interview, they talk about the importance of grabbing every opportunity that came their way, growing their firm to a level where they can still work hands-on with every client, and how they've managed to build a successful partnership over 30 years. I've known them since the beginning of my career in 2005, and I can't wait to share what we talked about. So Varuna, can you just tell me about how did your story begin? When did you move to Chennai, right?
Yeah, actually I was born in Mumbai.
Okay.
And I moved in when I was in my 5th standard.
Okay.
And my dad had to move down because of some business and family issues. So we came down to the south where my mom grew up. My grandfather was like one of the first Punjabis who moved down from the north. Right. So my mom grew up here, and the only place my dad thought would be comfortable is to come down to Chennai.
Okay.
So my schooling was done in Good Shepherds and Baines, and then I had a very good family friend who was a lecturer in Stella Maris, and she used to see my art. So I used to keep drawing, and I'd love to do sketching and drawing. So she used to tell my parents that she should do fine arts.
Yeah.
So that's how I got into fine arts.
Right.
And that's where my journey began when I started. And also my parents were great influence, because my dad would love furniture, and he had these furniture books all around the house. So I used to keep looking at it and getting excited. Yeah. And my mom was the one who would always rearrange the house, give her, a new look every now and then. Okay. So it was a part of growing up, seeing
so
all this.
Design started early.
It just started early.
So you must have grown up with a lot of old furniture and things like that, or
some very modern furniture. It was not traditional. My dad liked modern furniture.
Okay.
Like the mid-century, clean lines, simple furniture. Yeah. And also we used to now and then do up the house or get a new sofa or So that was something which was right at home. And my grandmother, that is my mom's mom, also had great taste. Right. So combination of clothes or color and things like that, just the influence was all around me. So and then when I finished my fine arts, I was either thinking of doing my master's in fine arts, or then my dad saw an ad and he said, why don't you do this interior design course, which would suit you, you like to do it. So that's where I did my course. And
so where did you do your course?
It was a course called Exterior Interiors.
Okay.
I don't know whether it's right there now in Chennai, but I don't think so.
So it was a separate institute?
Yeah, it was a separate institute, and the course just taught me plans, sections, how to represent your drawings, and because I was a fine arts student, it came easy to me.
Right.
And so my presentations and understanding the whole drawing concept was easy. Perspectives were easy for me. Yeah. And my portfolio was pretty good for that standard of doing just that 1 year diploma in interior design.
Sure.
And I was lucky. That's where the luck comes in, when Mr. Kapil Chitle, who was my ex-boss, he had come and he had seen the students. He was generally called to, and he just saw some portfolios, and he told our management, why don't you send these few people to my office because I need some interior designers.
Okay.
And I was among the five of us went in, and I got in.
Right.
And it was.
That's a pretty good firm to.
Yeah, and it was like a dream.
Yeah,
come
back
true.
then, in the
Yeah, it was like a dream
late
come
80s.
true because I never ever imagined that just doing a 1-year diploma in interior design
Yes.
could get me right into an architect's office.
Right.
So that place actually taught me a lot. Like
Okay.
whether it would be my senior draftsman in the office, or it could be like any colleagues around, or Mr. Chitle and Kashmira, his wife. I
Right.
worked closely with them, and my foundation in good design started there.
Okay.
So whether it was like Kashmira was very good with color combinations and styling and things like that. Kapil
Right.
was very good in planning, and so everything, like, I just absorbed everything that I got there.
Sure.
And it was a good foundation, and the best thing that happened, another best thing is I met Arvind there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's where we can transition
Yeah.
one to the other. Right?
So now Arvind can tell us how he got in there.
How did I land up there? Now, okay.
And your story seems to have had a lot more traveling around before you.
Yeah, I've generally moved around a lot. Like my father was in central government service, so we were posted in Indore, that's in the heartland, of Madhya Pradesh.
Right.
And then I've lived as as a young boy in Mauritius.
Right.
So I've done lots of schooling there.
Okay.
And then I went to boarding in Rajasthan in
Right.
Mayo College, Ajmer.
Yeah.
So that was a place which played a lot of my growing up and my personality building.
Did you
I
enjoy
contribute-
staying in boarding?
Initially, I felt homesick like any
Right.
child would. Like I joined in 8th standard, which is not very young for boarding,
Right.
because there were people who were there from the 4th, 5th, and 6th as well.
Mhm.
But the initial homesickness apart,
Yeah.
I think I believe a lot in boarding education.
Okay.
Yeah, I tried my best to see if my son could also go, but anyway. But in those days, boarding schools were also of a good quality and good standard of education,
Right.
and overall, sort of personality development was there, and kids becoming men, a lot of independence, and
Yeah, teachers.
you fend for yourself a lot more and all that. So like boarding, and then of course got into college and was in Kharagpur. So I've like moved around a lot.
So
And-
that was the IIT.
At the IIT Kharagpur is where I did my architecture, and
Okay.
so because I was away from home for a lot many years, so my
Yeah.
parents were keen that I come and work, stay with them and work. So they were in Kuwait at that time. So
Right.
so I think 89 I finished.
Okay.
So I went and worked in Kuwait in a big architect's office there. It's a very large firm,
Yeah.
which one of the big threes of Kuwait.
Okay. And even before that, actually in school as well, you
Yeah.
started having more. You started studying more, which started leading you towards architecture.
Yes, you can say that in a way, because when I was in Mauritius, funnily enough, as young as 7th or 8th standard,
Right.
we used to have this course called technical drawing.
Yeah.
And so we got exposed, or I got exposed to the idea of a T-square and set square
Very
way back in 7th, 8th, in that range.
Yeah.
And that curiosity turned into an interest,
Yeah.
and I kind of liked it.
Okay.
So I have, I've been used to a small drawing board and a T-square, set square, and making orthographic projections, plans, and all that of simple objects. They were not of buildings,
Right.
of objects.
Okay.
So that happened. It was a small eye opener for me,
Right.
and I kind of liked it. But then coming to the boarding school, and then in my 11th and 12th, I did take engineering drawing as my 5th subject. It was offered.
In Mauritius and in the 11th and 12th, was it an Indian syllabus that you were learning?
Yeah, no, Mauritius was not an Indian syllabus. It was not an Indian syllabus. It was. I learned French. I studied French there, and all. I
Okay.
did French literature. So that was 3 years of very different life.
Okay.
I'm saying that in 11th and 12th, while I was in Mayo in Ajmer, I had again a similar subject called engineering drawing that was offered at that time by CBSE schools
Really?
as a 5th subject. Like you take bio or you take economics.
Yeah, yeah.
So I took science with engineering drawing, ED.
Okay.
So that one particular subject we'd break off into another classroom and back to T squares, set squares, and like, very nice. And we were taught by a very elderly gentleman who was a civil engineer and who knew his rudiments of drawing, drafting, and that's where my real fundas of, plan sections and elevations, again, of objects, not so much about buildings. It was sort of ingrained into me. So when I joined architecture school in my first semester, the concept of plans and sections, they came to me much more easily than to say someone who was not exposed to it.
Correct. Yeah.
So that's how it's all started off, and
so that's when you went to Kuwait and started working.
After my graduation and all that. So I went to Kuwait, and I worked there for this firm called Pan Arab PACE.
Okay.
They were one of the big threes there, and they were local architects for SOM and TAC and all that.
Okay.
They used to do a lot of this palace work and stuff.
Work that you don't normally get here.
Oh yeah. I was exposed to some really mega scale, very high profile projects there.
Right. Yeah.
And I was a very junior architect nonetheless, but that stint was very short lived, because you may know that the Gulf War happened in 90.
Right.
So we were very much in Kuwait when the occupation came, and though the whole world blames Saddam for a lot of chaos in the Middle East, but I, for one, personally, off the record, I can say that Saddam has been instrumental in my family coming back to India, which is the reason how I came back to Chennai and landed up in SL Chitle's office. And that's where I met her. Like, so we have a private joke that it was Saddam Hussein who got us together.
And then you guys worked together at Chitle's office.
Yes, she was already working there when I joined. I think I joined in 1990. So we came back to India via a very circuitous route via Jordan and all of that stuff. And landed in Chennai, and was just lazing around for a week or 10 days when my uncle caught me and said, "So what are you planning to do?" And I said, "I'll do something. I don't know." I was pretty vague at that time. He said, "No, architect, engineers, you guys should not be idling. Otherwise, your CV looks bad."
Right.
So, a blotch or a hole, what were you doing for 6 months? So better get to work immediately. I said, "So okay, I'll find out who are the architects." I didn't have much idea also. So he said, "Don't worry, I have a friend who's a Rotarian, and he will have some good connections." So he put me on to his friend, and that friend saw me and he said, "I know one architect who's in my Rotary club. I'll write a letter for you. You go to him and see him."
Okay.
So I took that letter, and it was a letter addressed to Senior Chitle.
Okay.
So I landed up in his office, and Kapil Chitle only saw me, and he said, "Okay, I guess he had a vacancy," and he said, "Okay, join from tomorrow or whatever." So I joined Chitle's office, and then that's where I met Varuna,
And did you guys get to work together on the same project?
Not initially. See, I spent 2 years there. So the first maybe a year and a half, I was doing mostly architectural projects, competitions, residential, some industrial work and all for Senior Chitle. But there was a time, I think British Airways was it, or some interior, some projects and all that were also going on parallelly, and there was some pressure there. So I got a good hang of interiors, watching them do this. So Kapil roped me in for that, and so I started working with her on 1 or 2 reasonably prestigious projects for that time. And I also learnt a little bit about interiors, working together on this, and how these drawings are done, and what are the kind of detailing, what are the molds. So, the intricacies of interior design, I sort of started getting into it around the second half of my stay in Chitle's office.
And this was something different from what you had learnt in Kuwait?
Kuwait was all in all. There was a separate interior department there, which I never got into. I just spent barely a year. So I was mostly in the architectural section, and I used to do working drawings and handling that kind of work. I didn't do any design work there. I was just exposed to good design. So it's something which you watch and learn. But I was myself basically brought into the drawing section. So we did a lot of good quality working drawings on films, not tracing paper. Very good. I mean, I saw and learned a few things there. And
that's probably something that you don't do. Very few people actually do that today.
No, not at all. Not at all. In fact, our office, there is not a single drawing board now. Everybody is working on computers and plotters and all that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, even design development is done on the.
yeah, but we both are a little,
We are
old
still
school.
on old school.
So we
I
still
just
draw
feel
and
I
sketch
still-
to the best of our
Yeah,
ability.
yeah.
And it's a tactile feel of
Yeah.
doing something.
Yeah,
on paper.
I think
I
for an
somehow
architect.
feel the brain and the hand connection and the design
Yeah.
is direct.
Right.
Like
yeah.
you just really
Yeah,
don't
you
have
can't-
machine. in
I don't
between.
know how much you can do it with a
I
keyboard.
don't know. That's our school of thought,
Yeah.
and we've learned it that way.
Besides, we are not that skilled on the software side of it.
Okay.
So we really don't know how it can be expressed. But
Yeah.
I think working with a pencil is far more effective, and your creative
No, at least
juices
the
will flow better.
concepts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then the what CAD has done and everything to the architecture, drawing, and all that is just
Yeah.
far out from what we could do those days.
Yeah.
Like we would take longer time to finish drawings
Yeah.
than what is done now.
Correct.
So it's something which we really picked up, learned. We were so scared because
Yeah.
if we when we got the computers and all that,
Yeah.
because we were not used to it and we
Correct.
had not learnt it in our institutes and things like that.
And this is something. Have you been able to pass it on to the younger architects in your firm? About,
Yeah, we do tell them.
Yeah.
Like, it's nice to see younger, architects coming in and giving you sketches. So you really, you tend to connect more
Yeah.
with, when you see somebody, when we've discussed the concepts and you just see CAD drawings coming on your table,
Yeah.
then you just tend to draw over that.
Yeah.
Like just to convey your ideas.
Correct. Yeah.
So that's how we do. Like, but I still see the generation now wants to do directly
Okay.
on the system.
So that takes one element out of it that you are used to doing as well.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So that's-
So even while both of you were working at Chitale's office, Varna, you started doing your own projects independently as well.
Yeah, I did get some good, projects. So I got this ITC guest house to do.
Okay.
It was
It was
one
a
of-
lucky break. Nice.
Lucky.
Yeah,
It was
somebody
a
known
very
to
nice
us.
break in boat club.
Yeah.
And so it was one of our very close family relatives.
Who put it
And who
together?
put me to, he was in ITC. So he said,
Okay.
why don't you come and do this for us? So
Right.
it was a nice break and it took me it got me independent of what I was doing in the office and some more freedom to take decisions and do that. So that kind of gave me a taste of how it would be when you're on your own.
Yeah.
So that
And
gives
so
you
like a
confidence.
precursor to you having
Yeah.
your own firm.
Yeah, but I would say that the confidence from the day I joined Chitale's to the day I left, I would just owe it to Kapil Chitle and
Okay.
Mrs. Kashmira, because I used to shiver in the beginning, because I was just a diploma in interior design,
Right.
sitting on one of those prestigious tables in the
Yeah.
office, occupying one workstation there.
Yeah.
And whatever would come my way, I would just be clueless of how to go about it because there was
Yeah.
no other interior designer in the office.
You were
And
the only
I was
one?
the only one.
Wow.
And at one point, I was the only girl there.
Oh,
So
wow.
I think when we.
That sounds like I didn't have much choice.
No, but I think that shows even how far things have come,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
And this was what, 20 years ago?
yeah, and
No, this is 30 years, yeah. We're talking 1990. I joined Chitle's office in 90.
90.
Okay.
Yeah.
89 she joined, 90 I joined.
Yeah.
92 we kind of both left.
Right, okay.
But I must tell you that there were times when Kapil would give something for me to develop and design.
Right.
And I would be clueless because one is you don't have exposure, you don't have any internet, you don't have anything
Yeah.
to how
Fall
do you
back on.
study, how do
Yeah.
you get the thing. So I had senior draftsmen there who would have done so much, so I would just go and sit on their table and tell, okay, this is what I have to do, I'll do the design part, but
Right.
how do I do it, how do I do my drawings and things like that, and I learned there. And
Right.
I would go to Kapil itself and tell, sir, I've just done this much, now what do I
Right.
do? And he would spend time
And
giving
listen
me
and-
complete, like a teacher teaching me how to go about.
Right.
So I think that opportunity and luck, I think very rarely people get
Yeah, and
at that
having a
time. At that
mentor,
time.
a mentor
Yeah, it
figure
was,
like
yeah,
that to
absolutely.
take the interest and the
Yeah.
time to.
So I got that in the office with Kapil, and with Kashmira, his wife, I learned so much about selection processes, how do you get things together, furniture selection, all the
Yeah.
styling of what goes into an interior,
Yeah.
and that standard and quality and that taste.
Yes.
I really got in. So that thing, I was so grateful, and
Yeah.
it's something which I can never. It was my foundation.
Yeah.
One foundation. I'll talk about the other foundation later.
Sure.
But this is something which really made me very confident.
Yeah.
So by the time I had finished the 3 years working with them,
Yeah.
and when I started getting my own thing, I could really feel confident because I had all the knowledge which I got from where I was,
Yeah.
where I was nothing, and I just got all the inputs from them and
Yeah.
all the guidance, and that took
really
me through.
just
Yeah.
set you
Yeah.
going.
Yeah.
And
And by the time, I think, when we both did that British Airways office, I was so confident that both of us were working.
Right.
And for me to work with an architect who's come from IIT, and
Yeah.
to be together and the same project and talk, and with Kapil, it was a great experience to
Right.
work together and collaboratively, and
Yes.
then
and
get
both
your
you brought different things to the
yeah,
table.
absolutely.
Yeah.
In a
And then
broader sense,
and
yes.
then you do a independent project, and you are okay, you can handle, you have
Sure.
decision making on your shoulder, and it went through very well. It was very well appreciated, that project. And then
And then this was you worked at his office for 3 years, right?
3 years, yeah.
Yeah.
Just till the time I think we got married.
Right.
So that was
Yeah.
like 92.
Right.
Yeah,
So
so
around
we got
Married, we were working
engaged
there. Engaged there, we got married there.
married.
Then
We
Okay.
were still working.
in a few
with them.
months, I think I moved out first, or she moved out first, and then I also moved out.
Yeah.
I took up another assignment with another firm, but that was very, very short lived.
Sure.
By then, we sort of got our, one of our first bigger assignments, though she did this
Right.
guest house on her own.
And this
I-
was from
my
the
yeah,
same uncle.
I correct. Same uncle who
Yeah.
pushed me pushed me into a
Yeah.
job immediately after returning.
Right.
He was the one.
With this, you also did Rajan.
Yeah, we did a house that was
Very nice
that came
house,
up. It was a small beach house,
Right.
which her friend's father-in-law wanted. He was a leading dental surgeon and all that.
Yeah.
So we did their house, and that was kind of probably my first commission as an
Okay.
architect in Chennai.
Right.
After that, this project was probably what made us jump into our own practice.
Right.
When our uncle came up with, his company was setting up an office, small one, but
Okay.
it was big at that time.
Yeah.
And he approached me because I was his nephew.
Yeah.
And then I said, oh, but I'm working in this firm. And he said, look, I'm not saying that you work there and do this also. But
Yeah.
this is the opportunity I'm giving you, and you must take opportunities when they come your way.
Yeah.
And look at your age, you can do anything today, bend backwards, which you may find it very difficult once you set up and sort of have a family and responsibilities.
Right.
It will be that much more difficult to take the plunge. So then he just did a small calculation, back of the envelope thing. Okay, this is the project. This much will be your fee. This is the time duration. So you see, this is what you will earn per month. How much are you earning as salary? Actually, we were earning less. Okay, as a salaried income.
Those days the salaries
That
were
was a very, very low. Yeah.
Now
Very
it's
low,
much better, but
So,
those days,
and then I said, oh, I didn't know. I didn't know we could earn that much. I mean, or it could come out break that way. And he
Yeah.
said, besides, once you're on your own, it's not that you're only going to do my firm's, my company's corporate office, architecture and interiors.
Sure.
You will also have the freedom and the opportunity to go and meet other clients, and you can,
Start building
yeah,
your
you
own
can
brand.
build your own network and start your own way.
Yeah.
That thought really clicked to not only me, to her also.
Right.
And within a month, we were on our own. I quit the job. Our son was also just born.
Wow.
But all these things didn't deter us. okay, son is there. We are also in our late 20s only, 27, 28.
Right.
And even he was there in the midst of all this. And we said we are starting, and we had a 2-bedroom flat.
Including your son, it was a 3-person firm. Yeah.
Yeah, 2-bedroom, 2 BHK. 1 bedroom was our 2-3 drafting tables. We had one draftsman, one person
Yeah.
come along.
So we used to draft. We used to do everything.
everything.
Even
I used to-
and we had a
Yeah.
colleague who
Yeah.
joined us, and she also used to draft.
My dad had left behind a brother, a typewriter.
Yeah.
So I used to have a 1+1 with a carbon paper and one finger typing.
Okay.
We had no telephones. Imagine in 92,
Yeah.
in Chennai, it was so hard to get a telephone, a landline.
Right.
Forget pagers and mobile.
Yeah.
And my dad paid 30,000 rupees tatkal. And still, we got the phone after 3 months. And that phone was like one big thing in the house. Okay. Yeah, it was like that. And hello, and all. Good fun, yeah, 92. Before we got the phone, we used to go to that
Yeah.
PCO booth,
PCOs
make a
were
list.
very,
Yeah. And I'll get into the booth, I'll start talking, and she'll be knocking from, come on, it's my turn to go in now.
I'm pretty sure most of the people watching this will not know what a PCO booth
Yeah,
is.
exactly.
God, you know, we've spent so much time standing in that queue around that PCO and
Yeah.
that sweaty room. But we've done business like that, you know.
Right.
Yeah, of
But
course.
that's probably the time when you guys were, you probably didn't have much help and you were doing
Yeah,
everything.
Everything.
so that's when my son came
Yeah.
into our lives. So both, like we would take turns then. Earlier we used to go together to the PCO and he would take his thing.
Right.
And then I would be at home and he would go, and then when he would come back, I would go
Right.
and make my calls.
Yeah, that,
And then
you know,
we would do everything, like from
Yeah.
typing, our paperwork, all our term letters and things, everything.
all kinds of communication, everything.
Whether it is a office boy job or it was a
I used to type out the bill of
accounts,
quantities,
all the
specifications, all that kind of
specifications,
things. You
all
know.
the BOQs,
Yeah,
everything
of course,
was
I
done.
did get a lot of help, or in the sense like I learned it all in Chitle's office, and I
Yeah.
watched. Other than just architecture, you watch how the administration works. I got to
Correct.
see all of that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, Chitle's office taught me a lot of those things and how an office runs, because I worked only in the Gulf before that.
Right.
So, Chitle's office firm was the only firm I have worked in India. So, I sort of, you know, modeled a lot of my things at that time, which, you know, started off, you know, how do you prepare tenders and
Right.
how do you write out the, you know, BOQ documents. So a lot of that kind of a founding happened there, and which I continued on our
Yeah, the
own.
practicalities of running the business.
Yeah.
Yes,
right?
yes, yes.
Which I'm sure they don't really teach that in
Correct.
any.
No architecture school. No.
Yeah, and it's the same with photography as well.
I must confess that in our course there is I think there is a subject in one semester called professional practice.
Okay.
But you know, in architecture, theory subjects are theory subjects only. I mean, you go and you attend and you like, you know, you just write the exam.
No,
And
but
was it an elective or was it part?
It was a part of the
No,
course.
but
part of
these
the-
things you can't learn in theory.
Yes,
That's
you
true.
can't.
These things you have to learn on the job, and you get it practically when you
Yeah,
learn.
like code of
everything.
conduct. You
Yeah.
know, all these kinds of things were taught as a subject for us.
You can learn all the theory you want, but when you get out, it's
Yeah,
totally
you have to.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
So I think not only like your design, focusing only on the design, you should actually learn everything and keep your eyes on things that are around you.
right.
So that's what I think.
One of the bigger learnings
things.
of that.
Yeah.
And apart from that, it would be also when you start off, you don't always get the biggest project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Of
I
course,
think
of
we've
course.
done every
Yeah,
project.
that's probably another advice we
Yeah.
should give
Yeah.
youngsters
Yeah,
today.
yeah.
That whatever opportunity comes your way, you
Yeah.
need to take it.
So now let's also talk about the next big stage, which I think is you guys welcome in a new partner into your firm.
Yeah.
Right?
That's probably the third time lucky, as they say.
Yeah.
The third time the same very uncle
Yeah.
played an important role
Right.
in getting us together. We kind of knew him from before because he's an architect.
Right.
but he was into interior contracts.
Okay.
And we had obviously, she had probably interacted more with him
Right. Yeah.
because he used to do contracts for Chitle's office.
Okay.
And so somewhere around 94, I think this idea came up that, we could all join hands. And he was kind of wanting to move away from contracts and get into pure architecture and into design, interior design, but more as consultancy. So his family knew my uncle's family, and my uncle kind of brought us all together.
Right.
So these are good guys and he's a good guy type. So we all
Yeah.
got together.
Yeah.
We started a partnership. We were so happy with them and lasted almost around 10 years till
Okay.
2004.
Okay.
And we mutually decided to, move away.
And was he someone in your age group? Was he?
No, he's actually much older than us. He's like about 15 years our senior,
Right.
which actually was very good. So we
Yeah.
were
You
also,
have something to learn.
Yeah.
we were 28, and then
Actually, the foundation of the design we do today
Yeah.
is what Kumar brought in.
probably started there. And
His name was Kumar, and
Okay.
he was. I got very influenced with his style of design, and
Yeah.
I think he has impeccable taste, and
Yeah.
his,
And that's because he works in interiors all the time. That would have had a big
yeah, he has worked with so many architects,
Before,
and he has
yes.
also traveled a
that's-
lot.
Yeah.
Right.
And he had an eye for a lot of good design, and so I think something which he brought in, and I got highly influenced by his
Sure.
taste and design, and the way he would bring things together, and the
Yes.
way he would get an interior done. So it was like he was highly influential in what we do today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We matured as architects and interior
Architects, yeah.
designers
Yeah.
in that phase of our life. We sort of, moved out of working in your own apartment bedroom kind of a thing
Yeah.
into a formal office structure.
Yeah.
And he had an establishment already.
Right.
So we kind of, dovetailed into that system. So we had an accountant, we had an admin staff, we had some architects, we hired one or two draftsmen.
Yeah.
So we became like a sort of an establishment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Because we were working at home.
yeah,
at
so
before
we
that.
could pursue
Like-
more of design work and site work
Right.
than be, embroiled
Do
in
other things, yeah.
mundane, administrative work.
Correct.
At least I, for one, I could feel that,
Yeah.
I could
You're doing what you actually want.
more creative work and on-site work was more.
Also,
me-
our office space was very creative. I mean, the space there where we started working along with him
Yeah.
was very inspiring,
Right.
and everything, like, I think we just
That kind of fell in place, We just
fell in
started.
place, yeah.
Small, probably were like
Yeah.
7-8 people in that office when we started. Maybe by the time we moved out, we were about 15 people or something like that.
Okay.
And it was very good. We did a lot of interior projects at that time. We were not doing architecture work. We started off and continued till as late as about 2000, 2001.
Sure.
We were doing large scale interior projects, a lot of IT. He had a lot of good connections with people who were in the IT sector and corporate offices and all that. So we got to do a lot of that kind of work,
Yeah.
which we really
And that really.
But, yeah.
gets you
No, and the
going.
best part was we were doing both residential interiors, or whether it would be a cafeteria or anything, or a
Yes.
coffee shop, and IT. And
Yeah.
Kumar was good at everything. Like, he
Sure.
had influences, so we would get all sorts of projects. So what I said, that we were doing 400 square feet, small spaces, to
Yeah.
doing what we did with Kumar.
Right.
It was a great break, and it was like an excellent, I think, 10 years that we
spent together.
We spent
Right,
together.
yes. That's
And,
true.
Yeah. So you're saying that when you started off doing a lot more interiors projects, right?
Yeah.
Rather than
Yes.
architecture and interiors. Now, as an aside from what we were talking about all this time, is it very common for architects to get more interiors projects early on, or which
No.
would you say is
Well, at least I can speak for ourselves.
on your own?
our journey sort of moved in a direction where we were exposed to the interior side. We were having a partner who was in the interior field. So his connections led us to more interior projects. And we both enjoyed doing interiors. And she's very creative, and she has that flair of an interior designer. And I may not be great on color senses and all that. I don't know, but at least I know I'm quite confident about my services and about planning, spatial, relations. So I mean, I enjoy doing interiors, and I didn't miss the fact that I wasn't doing buildings. Well into about 7-8 years of our practice. And again, the opportunity came that way, and we just took it. It was not like, no, I'll not touch this and I'll wait till my architectural assignments come my way. It was not how I took it. Yes. I particularly.
We were working on the same projects together. Like he said, no, he would do the spatial planning and all the services and get everything like an architect would do, like interior architecture. And I would bring in the styling, the color, and the, so it was a nice combination where we really learned from each other. And then as we got projects and we found our groove, then we started taking individual projects, and then I would handle some and he would handle some, which then that's how.
And that's when you also started working on your own projects.
Individual,
I think as we grew a little more, one is, of course, initially we used to give both our time to one project, one client. But as our business and our profession also expanded, so you couldn't be at two places at the same time. So she started handling some of her projects, some of her clients. I started doing this, and it, obviously, then you want your own space also as a creative person. We feel like there are certain spaces that we have drawn for ourselves, and we still consult each other on assignments, on projects. I take a lot of her advice and I give her whatever I can, contribute. But we handle our projects pretty much independently. Yes.
So, and we do work together also, but we know exactly
what each person
is doing, and we have a good conscious kind of a line to where he ends and I begin.
Like a scope matrix. So if you're doing a residence, I know where to come up to, and then beyond which
and we know how to balance it pretty well. We've learned it. We've had all sorts of things that led us to come to one understanding that this is how it would work. And I think it's working beautifully, and
True, and this was one of the things that I was going to bring up a little later on about how it was to work with your spouse, because I'm sure many people wouldn't be able to do that.
But surprisingly, you will find that in amongst architects and designers, the creative field, see, because you are in a creative field, most of the cases, or more often than not, people enjoy what they do. See, people who are in a corporate life, who are in the the companies, and they're like, they could be doing anything. But for them, I think beyond a point, work may not be an enjoyment. It is more a rigor which they want to do just to, sustain their lives. So they probably would not want to discuss their work at home. Because they just want to leave that side of their life and not bring it into the family space. But for us, we are together, we practice together, so we stay, we're living together, we are in the office together, we share clients, so we are like 24/7 breathing architecture, interior, family. It's all like one potpourri for us. And we like, for us, work is not like, is not a chore.
I somehow feel that then there is a deep understanding about of each other. And it's something.
You may see me chilling on a weekday morning now that with this corona, but we'll be like, at it on a Sunday also. You catch a corporate guy working on a Sunday, Friday afternoon he switches off, right? So we are okay. And she, moreover, like, she'll be working late in the night on her iPad and so many things she does.
To work, and all my mails go after one in the night.
I think
12:31. So I'm done for that, and next morning I'm quite chilled.
Right.
because everything I've downloaded
And you
it
guys have
somewhere
early morning starts, or?
and I put the ball in somebody else's court. So I'm just chilled. Then I go to sleep and I wake up leisurely
Yeah.
because we are not early risers. And
Right, that's what
Yeah.
I was just
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could say, all good architects are late risers.
They
But
work
we are late risers.
Okay.
But anyway, that's besides the point. But to answer what you were asking,
No, but we would have watched a movie,
Yeah.
and then we end
Then
up
you
doing
start
some
working
work.
again.
Yeah.
So it's like you
It's okay.
you just and he understands.
Right.
So he knows that okay, she's got something to be done tomorrow morning, so she's sitting, and so that's the deep understanding we get. We know
Yeah.
everything. We know like
Right.
what's happening in the work side, what's happening at home, and if there are parents, what we need to do, if the kids, what we need to do. We just know everything.
see, in a designer couple, we know of each other's work.
Exactly.
So, the understanding, the level of understanding, I think should be much deeper.
Yeah.
So, you can be very accommodative, you can be very understanding,
Yeah.
and you can also identify yourself in
Yeah.
in their place.
There's a clear
So
understanding, clear boundaries.
it's very good. It
Yeah.
has worked out very well for
And
us. Touch
also
wood.
when there are design or like creative differences, or we need to discuss something, so it's very comfortable. Sometimes in the office, like you will have another atmosphere,
Yeah.
but when you're sitting at home on like in the evening sipping a coffee or a tea or something,
Yeah.
we can like talk to each other, and there are times where we can just get things across to each other in a better way.
Sure.
And
Yeah,
it
for
works
us, so
beautifully.
conversations sometimes they can be inspiring.
Of
So
course.
we may be just sitting at home in our TV room, but we take up some point, or we look at something on the net, and she
Yeah.
brings up something, or I see something on the TV, I see that house, and we just pause for a bit.
Yeah.
So you can get inspirations in your day-to-day life, and as a part of your life, and because we share the same profession in that sense,
Yeah.
so it comes naturally for us, and
Yeah.
And
it
the
may,
best part is our travels,
Yes.
because we have the same interest.
yeah.
So whether we go to museums or we are seeing monuments or we just want to do the same thing.
Yeah, I can say, see, we are two very different personalities. Okay, we both as two individuals are quite different as personalities, but we have very common, tastes. A lot of things we like to do: music, food, travel, clothes. We sort of have a similar sense of taste, style,
Yeah.
and we appreciate the same things.
Yes.
So, be it all these things that I told you about. So, there is never a clash,
Yes.
and in that sense, I think that kind of flows into our projects also. So, it's not that, I am looking at something else which is very tangentially different, and she is on a different plane. So, therefore, there is a very good sync.
You guys are in
And
sync.
yeah,
and
yeah.
would bring.
No, there are differences at
Of-
some point.
Those are more like personality differences are there.
But
So,
then we exactly, one of us knows okay, this is the thing, we should give it to him, or she
Right.
says no.
Yeah.
I
To
think
give way.
when to give that.
but who obviously gives more way? That's besides this interview. No, just joking. I mean,
Yeah.
it can be smooth if you have a good deep understanding.
Yeah.
Right.
But if you want to take it on a conflicting path, then it can be a bad deal.
Of course, it
Yeah.
goes the other way.
So I don't know, but I know of several couples who are architects who practice together. There's so many successful families of architects. I think
Yes.
I would probably attribute that to the reason that the profession aids you to it.
Yeah.
Right.
If she was in an IT sector, I was in a bank, or I'm a lawyer and she's saying, I'll not come and discuss court issues at home,
Sure.
and probably like that. But in a design field,
Yeah.
it could probably work.
And
very well.
it
It
also-
becomes a way of life.
Yeah.
It just weaves into your life. That's it.
And I think more so now because your son is also involved in some way with your
Yeah,
work.
so like he's a product designer. Much as I wanted him to do architecture, but because his dad is an architect, he probably didn't want to be an architect.
Yeah.
We tried our
That's
best,
understandable.
but he
No,
moved a little
tried
away.
his best not to do what we do.
Yes. So he got into product design and he thought he's going to be a transport designer, auto designer, automobile designing, this, that. And then he went all around. Finally, after graduation, he worked in Mumbai also for a year. And then he came back to Chennai and he said, like, Chennai is where I want to be. I like this place. I've grown up here. Okay. And I like the idea of designing furniture.
Right.
So we thought like, okay.
It came from him.
Yeah, it came from him. And we said, okay, you know, if you're happy doing that. He said, but I just don't want to be a designer. I want to also manufacture.
Nice.
So he designs furniture. He's been doing that for over a year now.
Okay.
So he designs and manufactures out of a small workshop.
Right.
And he's got a few, you know, carpenters and polishers and all that.
And of course, the furniture plays its part in the interiors. And
Yeah, you know, we are doing the building, we do some interiors. So there's a natural sort of a forward integration, I think.
Right.
That, you know, there's an opportunity for him.
Yeah.
We've told him to take it with both your hands.
Like, we are so used to just designing and then leaving it to somebody to execute it, and we just like go there and criticize, or we like try and like inspect and see, and we know only that.
Yes.
But with him doing this, we are getting to like see that side of the whole what to say how things are made.
View of another.
And how actually what you design is finally what goes into it becoming what it is.
Right.
So that is quite interesting for us also, and we are guiding him on that, like from our side.
Yeah.
But I think he's quite thrilled and he's happy to do that part of it, and so it is not what we have done, and he's like not doing exactly what both as an interior designer or architect does, but he's
connected.
But luckily it is a related field and it's connected, and we tend to talk about it, and we have a long conversations of how things are done and all materials and things like that. So it's an exciting thing that he's taken up this furniture design.
And furniture design is actually fun, A lot of product designers in the early part of last century and furniture designers have all been architects. And great masters have designed and designed iconic furniture, which we all know about. So furniture design excites even me.
Yes.
And the fact that he is doing it, so I'm kind of getting involved in that part of it. Of course, the manufacturing is a different ball game altogether.
Right.
But as design, and how do you size a material? How do you sort of fabricate it? How do you get the stability into it? So there are so many things that as an architect you can contribute to that. So it kind of
And your daughter is an artist, right?
She's an artist, but she's a creative director in fashion. She has finished.
The creative gene is pretty strong across.
But
he missed the bus, or rather, he didn't take the bus.
Okay.
So I was like, somewhere seeing if a daughter is the second one. So I was trying to corner her into architecture.
No, but she was. So she did her. She, in her 11th and 12th, she was in an international syllabus. She took up perspectives because she was very keen on doing architecture on her own.
Okay.
And in her 12th grade, just 6 months before her final, she sat down with us and said, I'm not doing architecture. I want to do creative direction in fashion. Wow. And she gave us
we didn't even know what it meant.
Yeah.
But she had it all figured. We said, okay.
She gave us a presentation and she gave us a list of places she wants to
study.
But see, she's done creative direction. So I saw she was doing a lot of spaces.
Right.
Because she had to do a kind of a space for a designer to display. So she was doing sketching of that, of props and things, and complete interior space for this designer. And then she said it's quite interesting. So of late she's been sending me a lot of links and trying to tell Mama, see how good this is, and so she's trying to get interested in the interior space field, I think. So it's not from our side, but she's
Whichever way
in fact she
around
said,
it works.
yeah,
right?
and of late she said, I think India is the place for me, so I'll be there for some time. Gain
She works in London, so
Okay.
yeah.
she finished her graduation there. She works there in a design firm.
So she
Okay.
said, ultimately I'll come back to India. So that's what it is for her now.
Nice.
Fingers
Yeah.
crossed.
Yeah.
So now let's just circle back to the practical sides of your work, right? So how long did it take you for you to feel like your business had settled down and things were just a well-oiled machine?
I think maybe around early 2000s. So it should be around 8-9 years at least.
Yeah.
Well, we were never like, struggling in that sense. We were in that scale of operations, we were comfortable.
Okay.
And we could always do a lot more work, I feel, and we could always grow much more. At every stage we have felt that. But I think we were like, comfortable. Probably by the time we started doing a lot of architectural projects.
Right.
And, so there is like that satisfaction that comes in, a different level of satisfaction.
Yeah.
So we started getting some larger commissions, and so that's when we sort of grew also a little bit, because you need more people then.
Yeah.
And probably our office were around 15-20 people by that time. And we had a lot more architects working with us. So it was a good collaborative process. But that's around the time we probably felt, that we were comfortable with our,
Yeah.
an established sort of a setup kind of a thing. Yeah.
But I think from the time we started, then with Kumar, and then, even when we were like, just trying to get things, at one point we would just always tell that we were pitching for projects. We were younger and we were like quite keen on doing some larger projects, and we would always never be shortlisted.
Yeah.
We would always
Yeah,
think.
so I guess failure comes as a
For
part of
Arvind-
everyone's life. So
Yeah.
as long as one learns, and you have to stay the course, you have to be
Yeah.
like persevering in your thought, in your plan,
Yeah.
and you have to be patient also.
Right.
Architecture is a difficult profession, okay,
Yeah.
and it is even more difficult in today's scenario. There are one is the times are not so good. The architecture profession is so dependent on the economy,
Right.
and the real estate industry does well, so you do well. The IT sector doesn't do well, you don't have the project. So it's all interlinked. So it is that way very difficult because of the external factors.
Yeah.
But internally also, as a profession, one doesn't, unless you're a naturally gifted architect,
Yeah.
you need to be very focused, and you have to really stick the course. Otherwise, you could easily drift away, and you can easily lose sight, and you can drift off. So
Yeah.
that's very, very important for the young
Yeah.
architects. They must
Because it takes a long time.
yeah,
Like I was.
it takes a long time to establish.
Yeah, it took us quite more than 10 years to like really reach that level or get the kind of projects we wanted to do, whether
Right.
they are large or big, it's not that, but the kind of projects that excited us,
Yeah.
it took more than 10 years for us to reach that level.
So
Yeah.
that
And,
patience must be shown, and they must use that time to probably work in good offices.
Yes.
And learn from their seniors, learn from the industry, learn from other the peers, learn from consultants, contractors, learn from the site. So there's so much of learning.
Yeah.
Architecture as a profession,
Actually-
we are all like learning every day.
Yeah, learning
There's
never
no like
ends in
there's no
our
full stop in our field.
Absolutely.
And I can learn so much more in the rest of my career that I have. So the youngsters must always be on the lookout for this.
Sure.
They should probably not rush into it, probably not be in a hurry,
Yeah.
and also not lose hope. And
I think that's the most important.
yes, that's
Correct,
very important. So I don't know about now, but 15-20 years ago, a lot of architecture graduates were going to other professions,
Right. Yeah.
particularly IT and all that, because they were being better paid.
Yes.
Architecture doesn't pay well also, like
Yes.
many of some of the professions. Architecture doesn't pay well in the beginning. It doesn't pay so well, to architects. but one has to, slug it out. Like, I think.
I mean, architecture, I suppose, is something that you do because you love it.
Yeah,
The
I'm
money
just
is
going to
not
tell
the
you
most-
that it's the passion.
Right.
Like you don't even have to think of the income that you're going to get or the monetary part of it.
Right.
Because if you are passionate about it and you put in your heart and soul and you just create something which you really want to do,
Yeah.
I think the other things just fall in place.
Right.
They come on their own.
Yeah.
So I think that is the passion. When you are in a field like this, you should have that passion.
Absolutely.
And you should keep all your senses open.
Yeah.
Observation, like I said, absorbing other people, observing people whom you work with.
Yeah.
And that is what like slowly sticks on to you, and that passion brings out what you want, and then the monetary and other things fall in place, and the kind of clients you want fall in place.
Yeah, and learning these new things also comes from developing a whole variety of interests, right?
Yeah.
So, have you had instances where your own personal interests somehow you felt improved your work in any way?
Yeah, of course, like we all, yeah, absolutely. Like,
We like to travel.
yeah.
Right.
So, it of course broadens your horizon. You get fantastic exposure. We were not great travelers in the 90s and all that. Opportunities were much less.
Yes.
But the last 15 years, probably, we have been, holidays, we go out, you travel
Yeah.
with the clients.
Also, like, I love to see good things, like,
Yeah.
Yes.
So-
good, pretty objects, or like, accessories and
Yes.
plants and
Yeah.
all these things, like, just stick with you again.
Yeah.
And it molds you to actually bring about your design.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
think
While she's looking at accessories inside, so I'm looking at the buildings outside. So it's good. I mean,
like, so I,
If you take some,
our
Yeah.
interest sort of feeds off into our profession, and
Yeah.
surely
Like,
there are
from-
inspirations you can draw.
like you should have interest in everything, even a stone or a small piece of marble, or a textured wood, or a twig fallen on a path when you are going sightseeing into the jungle.
Yeah.
I think these things, like if you have interest in that and you find beauty in that,
Yeah.
I think that just sticks on to you and it inspires you to do your designs.
Yeah.
So I think anything.
Yeah,
anything
in other words, I would think nature really,
Nature.
can give you the greatest inspiration. What mankind can get from nature, you cannot get it from anywhere else.
Yeah.
So other than you travel and you look at built forms and human created.
Yes.
But if you look at the nature side of it, it can offer you practically everything. So,
and also art.
Yes.
Art. I'm a fine art student, so I used to do art, but now I don't have time.
Yeah.
In the lockdown, I did something,
Yeah.
but art is something which really inspires me. So wherever we travel, we make it a point to pick up art from the local artist,
yes.
who's like, not the large who's who artists, but on the street, people who paint, and those things. Arvind also has a lot of interest in art, like he
Yeah.
both of us
just
we fish
random artists,
for
but
that.
we like to collect, we like to buy
and
on
we
our
are
travels.
always back with rolls of art. Like we see
Yeah,
towards
as
that
we can pretty much see around.
and there I still have a lot of my art rolls still lying unframed.
Unframed and not
And,
knowing where to put it up.
Where to put it up, and
Yeah.
but still we go and buy more.
I think I can completely empathize.
Yeah, because art is something which really relates to your field also, and
Yeah.
it's something which even a simple room with very understated and with no detailing,
Yes.
you just put a beautiful piece of art and the right lighting would just make the place.
Yeah.
So art is something
And
which we
surrounding
really,
yourself with
yeah,
things that excite and inspire you.
absolutely. So art is something which really inspires me, and
Yeah.
even Arvind loves to shop for art. So
Sure.
yeah.
So now coming back again, you guys have done something which is a little unique, which people in your position normally, you don't hear too many people who do this, which is not, you're not looking to grow beyond your own, where you have your own say and put your own touch on every project that you work on, right?
Correct.
Was this a conscious decision?
Very, very
Very conscious. Either one is, yes, you want to be involved in every every process, particularly the design process.
Yeah.
And you want to be involved with the client.
Yes.
Because ultimately the client, by and large, comes to you for your name.
Yes.
So he wants to see you. At least we are working at that level. So we like to give a lot of our personal time, personal touch
Yeah.
to the client and to the project. So in that process, what happens is, like, if you become a very large firm,
Yeah.
you'll probably lose a little control on that. You'll have a lot of associates who will be doing that. So
Right.
you can still do justice. It's just that we have chosen to do it this way.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are firms which are 50, 100, 200 strong.
Yeah.
And the principal architect or architects there, or the partners, they can't attend to every client. So they will be having, several grades of associates who will be handling those clients and those projects.
Yeah.
It works differently there. And of course, you're a very large firm handling very large projects. You'll probably end up becoming like that.
Okay.
So that decision has probably led us to remain a small firm or a small mid-sized firm. So we are like 30 people in our office,
Yeah.
which I feel is enough
Sweet
for us. Yeah, it's a sweet spot for us.
Yeah.
Yes.
There are firms which are like 10 to 15 people and they're doing larger work also.
Okay.
At the same time, we felt like, growing beyond this, we'd probably be working more for them than for our own satisfaction.
Yeah.
No, and also we see to it, like, when we get projects and we have a team and we are comfortable with that,
Yeah.
we at this stage also don't take up things
Yeah.
where we would just take it up because it's okay, it's going to be great for the business part of it, or it's going to be great that we are going to do another project, but we don't have time for it, and then you assign somebody to handle it. So we don't believe in that. We want to take up a project where we have one-to-one contact with the client,
Right.
and be hands-on to the projects that we do. We are hands-on to the detailing and designing that we do.
Sure.
And I don't think it's humanly possible to just take too much and then still be, and then just become a workaholic.
And that would
Yeah.
also compromise the quality.
Yeah, and
of your
I think,
output.
designing, because I think you need those pauses, you need
Yes.
the travels, you need the time off from your work to
Yeah.
actually get the creativity and to get creative enough to be ready to do the next project.
Sure.
So we have
very-
similar likes and things. So our thought process is very common. There's a common thread in this. So
Yeah.
we have found ourselves like a niche in which we are set
Please
up.
really make it a point to go for a holiday, only both
Yeah.
of us.
Right.
We make it a point, of course, with the kids, but there are sometimes we just take off, and we do try to take off as much as we can, even if it's an extended weekend or a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday or something
Yes.
nearby, or take a flight and then come back, and
But all of that is now, I
we
think,
both really
seems like a very distant reality,
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
but that's the sort of refreshment
Yeah.
that.
yes, I guess a reboot. But
We have never tried a solo holiday till now, but we don't want to.
yeah.
Because
No, I'll go mad if I'm alone somewhere. Like, I need people around me all the time. Someone to bug or someone to talk to.
no,
like,
but because we have interests at doing the same
Yeah.
things,
Yes.
so it's good.
I think that's always a plus.
and it's something which really brings you to the thing of getting refreshed to do your designs, and even
Right.
wherever you go or you travel or you're spending time off work,
Yeah.
actually is very productive
Okay.
for us.
I think that's the sort of, that's the good advice that someone who is young and starting off and setting up their own firm, they can take that away.
Yeah.
Because everyone would tell them that when you're really young, you can push yourself hard, but
Yes.
sometimes you can just burn out before
Yeah.
you get the best
Yeah.
results.
One must be careful
In
not
fact, I
to
think-
get burnt out and not overdo it.
Yeah.
See, you can stretch to the extent possible that your capacity allows you to.
Sure.
But at the same time, there must be a good work-life balance. You must be able to, enjoy the other things and
Yeah.
enjoy your personal time, family time.
And
Yeah.
friends.
Yes,
Yes.
friends.
So,
So,
like,
it's
we have
so
good
important.
set of friends.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very
And,
important.
it really
You just
helps
can't be
us
a workaholic. You just can't be
Yeah.
like all the time. I like to follow that philosophy. So it's not like, for the 24 hours of the day, like you're
Yeah.
only thinking of work and
Work.
submissions and all that. No, there is time for that. Yes.
I think that switching off is a very important thing.
One must,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to
And
ask
we've
you,
done quite a lot of switching off earlier in our career also.
Really?
It was not that, we were just running for work and wanting.
Yeah.
That switching off, and that came from Arvind. He was very keen. He always had this thing that, you should take these breaks.
Okay.
And I learned that from him. Yeah.
So now I'm going to ask you probably a question that would not be, it's not a controversial question to most people,
Okay.
and it's definitely not a controversial question here. So from all the years of perseverance and hard work and patience that you've done to come to where you are today, how much of that would be the work that you have put in and how much of that was luck?
I think there was a lot of luck.
Yeah.
I guess I would like to say a bit
Yeah.
of both.
Yeah, bit
Yeah.
of both.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be lying if I said like there was no luck in
the
it.
first thing for me, the luckiest thing was for me to get into Chitle and Son.
Right.
And the luckiest thing, more luckier than that, was to meet Arvind then.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. Well, that's good luck to you. No, but yeah, luck is important. Yeah, but sometimes it's bit of both ways. You make your luck also.
A lot of
So,
projects
yes,
coming to
yes.
you, and lot of things you have seen and thought, okay, it would be good to meet so and so and do that project for so and so.
Yeah.
And you end up somebody else introducing you to that person,
Yeah.
and you working with that person within no time,
Yes.
without
So,
efforts from
out and
your
out,
side.
out and out lucky breaks are. I mean,
Many.
it happens.
Yeah.
Definitely, and it has happened to us. But when I say you make your own luck, what I mean more by that is, yes, what work you have, you do that well.
Yes.
When you do that well, people around you see the work and they come to you on the basis of the good work that you have done, and or you get referred, it's a referral thing. In our profession, we don't advertise, we don't solicit, we don't look at clients that way. So people call us because they've been referred to us by another client or some friend or somebody like that.
Yes.
So you make your luck when you do good work, and then you get good clients walk into your office.
Yeah.
So that's sort of a thing.
Yeah.
You can always be at the right place at the right time in
Yeah.
your life, and an opportunity passes by.
Yeah.
You grab it. That is like a different kind of luck, and you need all of these factors to make a successful and satisfied profession, satisfied life.
Yeah.
The meeting
but
was
I
also a luck, like
Yeah,
it was
that's
not an
what I
arranged
said,
marriage.
yeah.
It was not like we met at a common friends party. That's how most couples end up, meeting, or
Yes.
common friends place. It wasn't like that. It was not like set up. So I just landed up from nowhere
Yeah,
into a
it was
firm.
the Gulf War.
Yeah.
No, and the best part was, he's a South Indian from the north, and I'm a North Indian from the south.
There you have it.
So we just gelled well together. Yeah.
It's two states.
Yeah.
So like my father-in-law will say, oh, my family is all national integration. So I have lots of sisters-in-law and all. Everyone is from one corner of India.
Yeah.
So there's a big national integration here. Like.
Yeah. I think now this is a good place to draw the interview to a close.
Oh, great.
And
Time
thank
flies.
you so much. And I was really, really particular to get both of you to do the first episode.
Okay.
And especially since I've known you since the beginning of my career 15 years
Absolutely.
ago.
Yeah.
And 15 years ago, I think I've seen I've seen some changes on your side, but I think you've seen a lot more changes from my work as well.
Absolutely.
So I think that was a very important reason to get both of you on for the first interview, and thank you so much for even letting us air your place apart.
No, I think
We should thank you.
thank you, yeah, because
Thank you.
you
We've
have conceived of this
We are
whole
so proud of
concept.
what you are doing, and
Oh,
it's so
yeah.
nice for you to consider us to
No,
be.
I also
That's
the
so nice.
whole idea, this concept of having these kind of chats, and in our time, in times like this, if you can interact and
Yeah.
exchange ideas, that itself sort of livens you up. And I think we have to be thankful to you that this idea came to you.
Yeah.
And you're doing a series of called what is that? Everything comes together or
Yeah.
falls in place. So I guess our life is pretty much like that.
Yes.
We never allowed things to sort of
No planning.
no planning. Yeah, we allowed things to just fall in place.
Yeah.
And take it as it play it by the ear, or take it as it comes. This is our philosophy in life.
Yeah.
I'm not much of a planner and all that in that sense.
And I think from your story now, it's so clear that everything really did have to come together for it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
correct. Actually, I like the topic when you said everything
Yeah.
comes together in place.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, this
No, and
sounds like
also-
my life,
Yeah.
our
So
life.
the thing is, I'm so camera shy,
Yeah.
and it came together with you
Yeah.
because I'm comfortable talking to you.
Yeah.
So I'm not like conscious of the camera around. So
I think that
this
goes both ways.
this also came together. I
I think
think.
it goes both
No,
ways.
three ways.
Yeah.
So great. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Well, that's our show for this week. If you like this episode, please tell a friend about it and help get word out about this show. To watch this and other episodes of the show, please subscribe to Srinag Pictures on YouTube, or you can listen to the audio podcast by subscribing to Everything Comes Together on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or on the podcast app of your choice. The music for the show was composed by Ashray Harishankar from Escapist Music. Post-production by Thiruvikraman Srinivasa Raghavan of SNS Arts Development Consultancy, and production assistance by Abdul Jilani. You can reach me on Instagram @Srinag or from my website www.srinagpictures.com. I'll be back in 2 weeks with another fascinating guests who work in photography, architecture or design. Until we meet again, it's goodbye from Mylapore.